On today's show, which teams have made the best moves in free agency so far, and which moves in free agency have we just gone, what? On today's Locked On NBA, let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are locked on to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On NBA your first listen today with the best way you can help us grow the show. Listen every day on any podcast platform, like the video on YouTube, comment anything below. Let me know a team whose moves you've loved so far and a team whose moves you've been like, what? What are they doing? Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And joining me, as always, on a Thursday from Locked On Bulls, whose team has made you go, huh? For a while. What you got for me, Pat the Designer?
Does anybody want to lightly use Zach LaVine? Anybody?
Lightly.
Anybody? Bueller?
Well, first round pick involved? You gonna send me a pick?
I got a Portland pick for you. Heavy protections on it.
Today, we're gonna talk about teams whose moves have made us go, wait, what? Like, what are they doing? We're gonna pick. We each pick a team that we don't really understand what they're doing, and then we'll pick a team that we love their moves so far, and of course, we'll play Count It Up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including Bronny taken after his dad in more than just name.
What does that mean?
Ready for that one. Taken after his dad, more than just name. But let's start here. The team whose moves in free agency you've loved the most, Pat, is...
I'm not going to lie. It's a surprise team, but give me the Orlando Magic. I think they've done some really good things. Especially, I know a lot of it has been re-signing some of the guys that have been on that team, but that was a team that last season, 47-35, did a really good job. Fifth in the Eastern Conference, were right there competing in the mix and just really needed, you could tell in the playoffs, right? You needed some experience. You needed somebody who could add a little bit of that seasoning. You got that now with KCP. I thought that was a phenomenal signing this offseason for them. I think it adds to them offensively. I think now you've got somebody who can knock down some shots, space the floor a little bit, and still be able to attack. Like, I think that, to me, when I look at the Magic and what they were able to bring in, I know that you look at KCP last season and you're saying, well, Pat, I mean, like, we're talking about 10 points a game here, but the knowledge that you're getting, the fact that you're adding 40% from three, a little bit more consistency from that range there on 4 3-pointers per game last season, and the fact that you're getting somebody who, let's be real, something the Magic have had a problem with, healthy. He's a healthy player that you know can be there at the end of the season, and he can do just about everything for you. I have to look at the Orlando Magic as a solid team that did you get better to the point where I'm like, I could see you moving above the teams ahead of you last season, ahead of them directly was the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think that the Magic could be somebody who moves ahead of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know if they're above the Bucks just yet. We'll have to see what ends up happening with that, but I think they'll be a lot more competitive in an Eastern Conference that is struggling, and you get another season of Paolo Banchero development.
Yeah, because we normally look at teams like this and go, all right, we're banking on a couple of developmental years. You mentioned Paolo Banchero, 22 years old, another year in the NBA, and some more experience, playoff experience, all that. You look at even like an Anthony Black that they took last year, another year of experience. Look at a Franz Wagner, who is their second best player, who is not even that old. Like, you look at some of their young guys and go, okay, we expect some more like run from some of these young guys, but they also add KCP. That backcourt of Jalen Suggs and KCP, like, good luck scoring on those guys next year. Exactly. And that defense is going to be lit up with behind Jamal Mosley. And they got Tristan da Silva in the draft, who I also wouldn't like sleep on, because he shot 40% from three last year, and he's the player that Philip Rossman-Reich, our Locked On Magic host, the day of the draft, we had like a meeting of the NBA hosts, and I was like, what do you want to happen today? And he goes, I want Tristan da Silva. And he got him on the team. He fits really well with what they want to do. Yes. Another like rangy wing, 6'8", 6'10" wingspan, but he can actually shoot. He can do all kinds of stuff, a matchup problem, and somebody else that they can integrate. They re-signed Jonathan Isaac. Did you like the extension for Jonathan Isaac to extend him? Was it 5 years, like an $85 million deal? Yeah. You're kind of really betting low on somebody that could be an all defensive type of guy if he ever puts it all together. And by put it all together, I mean his body.
Yeah. That feels like an AO. I feel like I need to throw an AO out there. But no, I really do, because a lot of people forget, like, Jonathan Isaac was the original anomaly. He was the guy that everybody was like, yo, he can do everything. He was looked at a lot like how Wemby was looked at, right? He can handle the basketball. He can get up and down the floor. He can finish at the rim. He can shoot the shot. He's phenomenal defensively. Now, we've seen his role change over his years because of the injuries that have come in, but seeing Jonathan Isaac last season and how he was defensively at the rim, seeing him, he's maybe not the same offensive player that he once was, that you had hoped, I should say, that he was going to be able to develop into. But to me, the fact that you've still got a guy who's 6'10", who protects the rim the way he does, when you've got Wendell on that team, who's a little bit undersized and maybe is a little bit more, I'm just going to body guys up. I think that re-signing him at a low risk, high reward type of play, what Jonathan Isaac can be when he's at his best. And so that's what you're hoping for. That's what you're hoping to see. Last season, Jonathan Isaac playing 58 games, the second most that he's played in his career. You can't commit a ton of money to that. I thought that they dealt with this very smartly, and they were like, listen, if you're able to stay on the floor, the sky's the limit for you. But if you can't stay on the floor, we can't be out here committing, $20 million a year to your pocketbooks.
But they may, and then we don't know where he's sending that money after that. Yeah, the Orlando Magic, a team whose move that I actually liked as well. Go listen to Lockdown Magic for more about their team and all that. Philip's got that covered over there. Team whose moves that I've liked in the offseason so far, pains me to say, as somebody that covers the Dallas Mavericks, the Oklahoma City Thunder have done really well for themselves, I think. The trade for Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey, we've talked about it on this show. You've talked about it on Locked On Bulls. And then signing Isaiah Hartenstein, you get him for nothing, basically. They're bringing in Caruso, Hartenstein. They drafted Nikola Topic. They drafted Dylan Jones, which is kind of a sneaky pick that I kind of like. He's like a huge, like, burly guard, which is an interesting kind of play for them if that works out. And they only really lost Josh Giddey, who was not playing for them in the Mavericks series by the end of it. They realized, hey, we can't really play this guy in the playoffs yet. And then Gordon Hayward, who both sides of that arrangement decided, hey, this didn't work before the season was even over for them. Basically, I think they did really well for themselves to also not panic and do like a huge move that alters their team in some way that changes the constitution of their team. Like, their team was very good last year. They won 57 games. They were top 5 in offense and defense. Like, that was a very good team that, a couple of bounces of the ball here or there, and they beat that Mavericks team in the second round, go to the Western Conference Finals. Maybe they beat the Timberwolves. Maybe they're in the finals. Like, sometimes it's just a couple bounces of the ball one way, and your team all of a sudden looks like they're a lot better than, where their season finished. Yeah. So all that to say, I think that Thunder team was close last year, and they added in areas that they really, really could use, especially rebounding with Hartenstein. And did they need to get more deflections? Did they need to get more stops in the perimeter? But they got Caruso, and he's definitely going to do that.
Well, you get the defensive asset, and you're also getting Caruso coming off his best year shooting the three ball, coming off his best year offensively as a whole, which I think adds a ton, right? When you talk about going to a bench unit, Caruso's not going to be in your starting lineup, but as maybe your sixth man coming off of the bench, that's what you were missing.
You don't think you're going to start him?
I don't believe so. I think that Caruso's been fine coming off the bench throughout his career, and he's been kind of that sixth man. He was in the running for sixth man of the year all until the Bulls were basically just like, we have no one else. You have to start. You know what I mean? So, like, I think that, to me, like, when I look at how Alex Caruso is going to impact that team, you're going to see consistent defensive pressure for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now you never get a break, and you're replacing basically a guy who, in Josh Giddey, I think with the Bulls, he's going to do fine. He's going to be more of the ball handler, be more of the facilitator. But a guy in Josh Giddey that Oklahoma City basically went, listen, we're putting the ball in Shea's hands, so you figure out how to shoot. And he was like, I don't wait, what? Hold on, guys. That's not what I do here. So you're adding that shooting that you didn't have last season. And yeah, you talk about bringing in Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean, listen, a rim runner, a guy who can protect the rim, a guy who defensively, you know what he's going to bring, and offensively, he allows a little bit more attack. I wonder, like, I don't know even, do either of those guys break the starting lineup?
Caruso or Hartenstein? It'd be wild if they don't. They could go with the Lou Dort. No, so SGA, Jalen Williams, Chet, right? You're starting there. Lou Dort probably starts for them too. So then you're like, all right, who's the fifth guy? Could be Aaron Wiggins, who's been good for them. Could be Isaiah Joe, Cason Wallace. I think it's Caruso. I think Caruso does start, and I think Isaiah Hartenstein comes off the bench.
That's still, I mean, like either way, I think you're still in a defensive upgrade on that team that was phenomenal defensively, and still, right, I think even offensively, right, just having that consistency. Like there was a point last season, it sucks, right, because now he's on the Bulls, but there's a point last season where teams are just like, let Giddey shoot it. Like that's the goal here. Let Josh Giddey shoot. Exactly. And that's why you saw him not finish out that series on the court. You can't do that with Alex Caruso. You can sit there and kind of have those games where you're like, okay, he's off. I can play off of him a little bit. But if you leave Alex Caruso open, he showed you last season. He can make you pay. And I think that's why that's a phenomenal upgrade for them.
Yeah, they still don't have like that one more creator. I feel like that they maybe needed in that Mavs series, but you're betting on SGA and Jalen Williams. You're betting on Alex Caruso to take some of that. You're betting on Cason Wallace maybe to take a step forward offensively and do some more for you. And I think those are okay bets for them. And Chet probably to take a step forward because Chet looked really like not scared necessarily, but he looked deer in the headlights where he's like, I'm such a talented player. And just talking about the playoff series against the Mavs, he's like, I'm such a talented player. I have so many options in front of me. What do I do right now? I could do so many different things. And I think going into his second year, that'll be a lot easier for him. And that makes it scary for pretty much everybody else. Coming up, which moves made us go, what? We'll talk about that and more coming up.
I miss you, Alex.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app and go to something this offseason. The NBA is not going on, but you've got WNBA. I use Game Time to go to Dallas Wings games. On the way there, I'll drive from Dallas to Arlington, and on the way there, I'll buy my tickets because you know that they're going to go down in price as you get closer to the event. Save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. You've even got flash deals, so you can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game. I love that I can see my view from my seat. I know exactly where I'm going to be. I know exactly what my seats are going to cost because they have that all-in pricing. You can toggle this feature that shows the total up front. No surprise fees at checkout with that. Always great stuff from Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets as well. You could go see the Texas Rangers. You can go see a team that's maybe not as good, like the Chicago White Sox. You can go see all kinds of things. Download the app, create an account. Use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem that code LOCKEDON NBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA, being part of this show, being an everydayer, listening every day. Appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show. We've got a show that covers your team. Check the link in the description to find a show that covers your team every day. I cover the Dallas Mavericks. Pat covers the Chicago Bulls every day on our shows. Go check out those shows. We're also we got some people covering teams whose moves we don't really understand or we don't like so far. I'm going to start with mine first.
Let's do it.
Team whose moves I haven't really understood or I've liked some of them, but I'm just kind of like, overall, what are you doing? As a team that made a move today, the Golden State Warriors, they're bringing in Buddy Hield in this sign and trade. And so he's supposed to be the Klay Thompson replacement, which like, okay, I can see it, right? You squint enough and they're maybe not the Splash Brothers now, they're the Splash Buddies. You know, it's like when Air Bud had a bunch of puppies and he couldn't play anymore. And then they're like, all right, we'll do it Air Buddies instead of Air Bud. They bring in DeAnthony Melton. They bring in Kyle Anderson. They lose Chris Paul, which is probably fine. They're probably losing Dario Saric too. What I don't understand about the Warriors is like, what's the path forward for Steph? What's the path to get better? It felt like they're just kind of staying where they are right now, and where they are last season was not good enough. They have not made the moves. They tried to go for Paul George. That didn't work. And now you're stuck with this position where the Warriors, do you know who the Warriors' tallest player on their team is?
Oh. Is it Draymond right now?
No.
He's shorter than Wiggs. Is it Wiggins?
Trace Jackson Davis, without shoes, 6'8" and a quarter. That's their tallest guy, because Kevon Looney's 6'8" without shoes. Kyle Anderson is 6'7" and a half without shoes. He's their third tallest player. Jonathan Kuminga's like 6'7". They don't have a measurement with him without shoes because he didn't do the combine. Yeah. And then Draymond at the draft, by the way, 5'7" and 3/4 without shoes.
That's nuts.
Not 5'7", sorry. 6'5" and 0.75. That's why I got confused.
You okay? You just had a stroke. Are you okay?
I did. The number. I'm not. Me and Giddy have one thing in common. We're not numbers guys. So.
Okay. All right. That's nuts. All right. Okay. Jesus.
I couldn't get that one in earlier.
Yeah. That's tough.
But I just don't get the Warriors are doing, and what's the path forward for them to like take a big leap and one more big move when Steph is still there, right? It's like it feels like they're just sort of riding off into the sunset with him.
Well, I think that's what this is, right? This is hey, Stephen Curry, can you be a Jesus Christ in basketball shorts and save us one last time?
They're asking a lot of him.
I like. Here's the thing. I actually like the Buddy Hield move. I think you're talking about, you know, you got the crimson teeth in the building, and that works out for him. But like, I think at the end of the day,
crimson teeth, is that like the crimson chins?
Yeah, like crimson teeth. Like, have you seen Buddy Hield's teeth? Like if Buddy Hield was a cop, he'd take a bite out of crime. You know what I'm saying? They're not even fake. Like I thought they were veneers. Have you never noticed these teeth? I feel like you need to look this up, dog. Like they're overwhelmingly visible.
As
like,
is the case.
I don't know how you haven't seen it.
Many times on a Wednesday night doing Locked On NBA, my search history is gonna be really weird.
Buddy Hield teeth, like they're out
just,
there, bro.
It's not even teeth. It's just mostly gums.
There's teeth in there. I'll tell you that right now. It's gum. It's teeth. It's all of the above, dog. It's
Why do you say it like that?
It's a cavalcade of mouth. Let's say that.
You know what I have to say about that?
I am telling you right now that are not real.
Is this real or fake?
Our Buddy Hield's teeth, real or fake? No, he was born with those. I saw his high school pictures. His head was smaller, but his teeth were the same size.
He was 2 years younger then too.
Oh God. But I think to me, the thing with the Warriors is that I love that it took you like 4 minutes to like hear crimson teeth. He's like, crimson teeth? What the heck? I think
put together the words you were actually saying.
I think the thing with the Warriors is that it's tough to put like the Superman cape on Stephen Curry and feel like that's enough. He's a phenomenal player. He's going to get them to a bunch of wins this season. You know that he has the level of talent where he can carry a team. And so your biggest question is, okay, can we get consistency from these other guys where they just do enough for you to feel like, okay, we're going to be competitive in the playoffs and maybe we get a chip in the chair and we get an opportunity to go farther with Steph. The problem is the rest of the West got really, really good. And I just don't believe that the Warriors got good enough based on this move. Now, maybe, right, like if they turn down Zach LaVine, maybe they bring in a guy like Zach, maybe they bring in a guy like DeMar on a mid-level exception type of move. I don't know if that would work. I don't even know if their cap space allows that at this point.
I don't think they can because they signed and trade Klay Thompson.
Yeah, so we'll see what it ends up being, but I agree with you. I don't feel like they've done enough to say we're still going to be a top 5 team in the West. Yeah,
it's a team. It's their moves made me think like, all right, I don't think they got worse. Like I don't think they got marginally worse. I like Melton. The Buddy Hield move is probably equal to Klay in some aspects. And then Kyle Anderson's probably nice to have another wing player. Jonathan Kuminga may get better. Moses Moody may get better. Trace Jackson Davis, Brandon Pajemski will probably get better. Like there's things to like about their team. There's just not a step forward for them to be a contender or even close in the West right now. Give me a team whose moves you like were confused by or didn't like.
Listen, what are the Wizards doing, bro?
Whose teeth are you gonna?
Listen, I don't know if there's anybody's teeth on there, but Kyle Kuzma's there. There's a lot of question marks around there. Like, what are the Wizards doing? Like, is there any real plan to like try and get back? I get like all the draft moves, but I don't think you picked any player that I really feel like is going to make a major impact on the team. You picked a bunch of like at best role players to me. I have no idea what the signing of Jonas Valanciunas is for this team, and I'm actually upset because you took Jonas Valanciunas away from probably a better team.
That's the one move I liked.
Get out of the way. Get out of the way and leave Jonas Valanciunas out there for us, right? Like there's other teams that need this guy.
You know what Valanciunas feels like? Them getting Marcin Gortat like that long ago.
That's exactly what they're going to market it as too. They're going to be like, hey, we got him. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know.
The move that actually makes less sense to me is the Rashawn Holmes deal. $12.6 million and then $13 million. Like I don't know. I didn't see that in Dallas. Maybe he was a lot better in Washington than I realized. But yeah, the thing about the Wizards is you go, all right, who's an untouchable player for us? And like I asked Brandon Scott of Locked On Wizards about that, and he goes, Bilal Coulibaly. And that's it. Like that's what they got. And probably now Alexander Sarr is probably that now too. And so you're like, okay, you got two players who probably project as like high-end role players in there. So what they're doing, I mean, they're just bottoming out to go for next season. I mean, they've got to. I mean, that's their shot forward. But
I don't get. Are you bottoming out by like just keeping the team that you had together, which was not good?
It was already bad.
But like you would think you're trying. I don't know. The Wizards are the team that has confused me the most throughout multiple off seasons because I feel like they do this all the time. They make all of these signings and then they end up in the exact same spot. And you're like, I guess you got to spend money, but like, what did you actually do this offseason besides
the Wizards
stuff?
The Wizards went to econ class in college, but they only went to the first one. Got to spend money to make money.
Got to spend money to make money. Here we go.
That's it. Okay, that's what you got to do. Okay,
the seats are empty. Wait, hold on. How are we making this money?
$30 million on Jordan Poole. $30 million on Jonas Valanciunas and Rashawn Holmes, and we'll draft a center. Like
I have no answers for it. And the worst part about it is, right, at least with like what the Warriors like, do I think that, not to say they got worse, but it just feels like they can't compete. But you see how all the pieces fit. Like I see how Kyle Anderson fits. I see how Buddy Hield fits. How does anybody fit with this team?
Do they want them to fit? Like I really do think that they're just going for it. All right, we've got some bigs
they're all
and
in on Cooper Flag.
Sure, why not? You should be.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
No. Wizards, let us know in the comment section what teams made moves that confused you, what teams made moves you liked. Talk about coming up. We'll talk about Bronny James taking up after his dad in more ways than just his name. Go on.
I don't like how you keep saying that.
It's that time of the week where we play Count It Up, where we count on the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. It's that time.
Big chicken, baby.
Zion Williamson and porn star.
Take that for that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
Bronny James signed to the Lakers for a 4-year deal that is almost the same as what Nikola Jokic's 4-year deal was with the Nuggets when he was a second-round pick. It's kind of wild to see how close they are. But LeBron James Jr. was asked if LeBron still being an active player had anything to do with him entering the 2024 draft a little early and not staying in college for another year. And he responded with this: I never really thought about me going to play with my dad.
Oh.
LeBron James is a known truth not teller. My question is, cap or no cap, that Bronny James had never thought about playing with his dad in the NBA.
It's cap because it's like there's interviews of Bronny James where we could see you saying this. We can see.
Never thought about it?
You know, we can see. You live in the house with him. How do you, like, it had to come up. You're also under Rich Paul. It had to come up. Now, this just tells us where Bronny James is going to be. There's going to be an early shot at the Lakers facility. There's going to be a camera rolling around, and Bronny James will be on the first page of a Malcolm X book to try and prove that he is the smartest man in the room. And when asked about Malcolm X quotes, he'll go, "Oh, it's just so many."
How far into the book will he be?
One page. He's
Bronny James. Bronny James, you have 8 million. You have 8 million Instagram followers. All 8 million of those Instagram followers have thought about you playing with your dad. Every person in the world that has heard of your name and heard that you play basketball has thought about you playing with your dad. Every question you've been asked since you were a 5-star recruit in high school to all the way through USC, you've been asked about playing with your dad. There is no way you have not thought about playing with your dad. You cannot pull that one over on us.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. There's some the LeBron does carry over into the Bronny.
He's taking up after his dad.
Taking up after pops, man. If you go and not tell the truth, do it on a microphone in front of millions of people.
Did you see LeBron James being the helicopter parent and hanging around his introductory press conference, just like lurking in the background?
I did not. Was he just in the shadows?
He's like in the shadows, like on the side, but like a little far over with like, it's a really big room that they do those in. And so he's like standing a little far away, but you can just tell he's like standing there listening to everything he says. And
I love it though, man. I love it. Shout out to Bron actually being like, listen, everybody's mad at Bron for like, oh my God, he did nepotism. Nepotism is how the world goes round. I hate to tell you this. Sons take over father's company. Do you think they're all qualified? Usually not. The father sends to the business school and they're like, figure this out. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, I could care less about nepotism. I'm glad that LeBron gets to be around his son in this manner. And it's probably an amazing thing to be able to sit there and watch your son give his first introductory press conference.
Just for the story of it and the marketing alone, it's fine.
Yeah. He's
still a business.
There's some money to be made here.
How many James Jr. jerseys are they going to sell?
Now that's tough.
Summer League, when the Lakers have somebody that's interesting, is like popping. Yeah.
By the way, Summer League. I was looking up some Summer League prices. You brought up Summer League. This is a total side tangent.
What's the price?
$400 for general admission.
Okay, so at least it's in Summer League. You get a whole day. You at least get the whole day there. So that's kind of cool. You see like 10 games, which is nice, but $400 is a lot.
$400 for me to watch a game that I definitely am barely going to watch on my couch. I kid. I'm going to watch these very closely. But I have a problem. I'm an addict to this game. But still, like $400 for Summer League. I was like, maybe I'll go. Like maybe spur of the moment, boom, I'll hit it for a couple of days and get up out of there. You know what I'm saying? Vegas.
Have you been to Summer League?
I have not been to Summer League yet.
So you get access to 2 different gyms, and there's games going constantly in them. So you can see like 10 different games in that. You pay just to go in. There's no assigned seats or anything. And then there's also like all kinds of stuff going on. Like, so it's sort of like entrance to like a Comic-Con that you get. They actually do have an NBA con. I don't know if you get entrance access to that with Summer League tickets. If you do, then $400 actually kind of.
If you do, then I didn't see that part. I just saw general admission for $3.99. I was like, yo,
come a long way.
No, that was for a day.
Yeah, right. One day. Yeah,
July 18th or whatever it is. I was like, all right, dog.
That's a lot. Kemba Walker announced his retirement from basketball. Great career from Kemba Walker. Incredible work from him. He's now going to join the Hornets coaching staff. He's joining as an enhancement coach, a player enhancement coach. My question is, what does a player enhancement coach do? I've heard of player development. I've never heard of a player enhancement coach.
Nepotism at its finest. There's no joke I can say that won't get me fired. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I
got one for you. You ready?
Here we go.
I've been thinking about this ever since I saw this one. BBL Buzz City. BBL Buzz City.
Nah, that wasn't good, dog. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was
the enhancement?
Yeah, that was swinging a miss. That was swinging a miss. I hate to tell you. That was tough. That was a tough time. The one thing that I guess, like, is he enhancing the seriousness on the bench? Maybe, right? Like last year, everything was just like, oh, everybody's laughing, having a good time. Is he playing the Michael Jordan role now? He just goes down the line and smacks guys in the back of the head. You remember that?
I don't know what he's enhancing.
I don't know. I don't like the name of the job.
Player enhancement coach is wild.
I feel uncomfortable.
Player development coach I've heard of. Player enhancement coach.
Yeah, I don't like it.
That's a new one. The Clippers lost Paul George, and they knew they were going to lose Paul George, and so they released a statement, a multiple paragraph statement about Paul George before he had even agreed to go anywhere else. Have you ever seen a team admit that they're losing a free agent, especially one that was so big to their team before he even signed with a different team?
Well, the Clippers are going through it right now, so I think this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. But, I mean, when you got clipped on the air, you know what I mean? You got a lot bigger things to worry about than losing Paul George. Like, there's some really bad television going out here on that television show, and it's all around your brand. I'm sure that you know the Clippers are not thrilled with where they're at right now when you got Lawrence Fishburne yelling at players and not looking anything like Doc Rivers.
What was wild about this statement to me is that Woj reported that Paul George is leaving at 8:11 Eastern time, or 5:11 Central or Pacific time. And they released their statement from Om Yamnasuk from ESPN 14 minutes later.
You got to have it ready, man.
And then Paul George didn't decide until like midnight 30 Pacific time.
Well, listen, it's not like you got a chance. Yeah, I mean, like they didn't go all out. They didn't give like the farewell video. You know what I mean?
This is the farewell video though of like the video tribute of statements.
There's the video tribute of statements. I'll give you that. I don't know. I don't have a
Is this
problem
the first
with it.
video tribute statement that has been made in like while free agency was happening?
See, this is the thing we got to figure out. When was this penned? Did somebody like draw
That's what
this
we
up
need to
like
know,
midway through the
'Cause it's
season?
long.
Was this a midway through the season try? Like, we're not bringing this guy back. It's over. Like this, put the writing on the wall. We're
Ballmer
done.
is like, guys, we got to be ready with that statement, the video tribute statement.
I want the Steve Ballmer tribute. You know what I mean? That's what I'm looking for.
I think the thing I love about the statement itself is the second paragraph says, we traded a lot to pair Kawhi and Paul.
It's a loss of a trade. Like, looking back at it,
You think they lost the trade?
Absolutely. There's a potential MVP candidate playing on another team because you had 700 point guards ahead of him that you were like, he could kind of get minutes, but we don't have a commitment to him.
Yeesh.
Here's the weird part. Even in the limited minutes, I remember seeing Shea hoop in like the limited minutes he would get, and I was like, oh, dog, if you like develop him, he's a baller. Like, he's somebody that can actually turn it. And then he immediately traded him away, and I was like, all right, well, shout out OKC, I guess. Great.
Living in the Lakers shadow is probably the worst. Living in the Lakers shadow and living in the Knicks shadow is probably the worst thing that can happen to the Clippers and the Nets. Like, they're always like, all right, we've got to go get a star. And then they pull together these stars, and then they don't build a team. And then all of a sudden you're like, you're where they are.
Yeah. I mean, listen, even they're going for like the all Ben Gay team. You know what I mean? Like the all icy hot team. Like, I don't know what's the plan? And another team, that's a team we could have brought up. Like,
could have brought the Clippers.
What's the plan up with the Clippers at this point? Like, I don't understand.
I know what their plan is.
What is it? What do you
take risks?
Take risks. You ain't lying. You re-signed James Harden 2 years. You're taking a risk. Multi-year deal for Harden. You know he's not going to finish that
Kawhi
deal.
Leonard.
You know he's not finishing that deal.
Kevin Porter Jr. back.
There's wings coming.
Hey guys, let's bring in Miles Bridges now.
That may be the best move they got, which is the best part of it.
Oh my God.
There you go. Their best move of the offseason.
Hasn't happened. They're just rumored to go after Miles.
There's a lot of rumors.
There you go. Let us know in the comment section. What team do you like their moves? What team did you hate their moves? Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA. We'll be back tomorrow with Wes Goldberg, Adam Mares in the morning on Friday morning. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA.
That was longer than I thought. Bye-bye.
Pause.